Hello class, today we're on lesson number 2 of chapter 7, simultaneous equations. Today we're going to learn another method of solving simultaneous equations, and this is by subtraction. And we have an illustration at the top of page 291 where we see two different weights. We see 3 cats and 1 kitten equal to 24 pounds, and we see 3 cats and 5 kittens equal to 36. Now the question is, how much does each cat and kitten weigh? Now, if you were quick enough to see that we've simply added 4 kittens to the second tray here, and we've added a weight of 36, which means we increased the weight by 12 pounds. So those 4 extra kittens weigh 12 pounds. Now, if they equal, if they if they have equal weights, and this is what we're assuming obviously, each one must weigh 3 pounds each. Now, knowing that each kitten weighs 3 pounds, we can conclude that 3 cats together weigh 21 pounds. Well, how's that? Well, take a look at the top. We have 3 cats and we have 1 kitten. And then we have 24 pounds. So what if I knew that the weight of 1 kitten was 3 pounds, I could subtract that 1 kitten, which means I'm subtracting 3 pounds from the other side, right? So 3 cats will now weigh 21 pounds. So I can do my math and know that now that if they have equal weights, each one weighs 7 pounds. Now, the method that we have used to solve this puzzle illustrates another way to solve a pair of simultaneous equations. If we let x represent the weight of the cat and y represent the weight of the kitten. Let's just take a look. If we looked at our original equation, or even just our illustration, we would probably be looking at it like this, like 3 cats plus 1 kitten, right? You could see how we got these equations, and that's equal to 24 pounds. And in the other one, we know that 3 cats plus 5 kittens is equal to 36. Okay, so you can see that these really are simple equations. We can use x and y, and we can change here. Let's just go ahead and erase. I want to go ahead and move cats out of here and put the variable x. So that's all they really did. And I'm going to move kittens out and put the variable y. Okay, so that's how we created this equation. Sometimes it's the beginning part that's a little bit troublesome, just identifying what the different parts. Now this is 1y. I'm just going to turn this into a y. Okay, yeah, you like my drawing there? And then we have 3x and 5y. So we have 3x plus y is equal to 24. And that's simply 3 cats plus 1 kitten is equal to 24 pounds. And we have 3 cats and 5 kittens, or 3x plus 5y, is equal to 36. Now note that the x actually represents weight, the weight of the cat. Okay, it's not just a cat as a number, it's really the weight, because we're talking about weight. It's equal to 24 pounds over here. So we don't really count the cats. We have them counted, but we're multiplying that count by something, and it's by the weight. So we'll go back to that a little later on, just so we can understand a little more why we created this equation. Let's just go and follow the book. It says here that in conclusion, well, I'm sorry, let's go reading here. The method we have used to solve the puzzle illustrates another way to solve a pair of simultaneous equations. If we let x represent the weight of the cat and y represent the weight of the kitten, then the puzzle can be translated into the equations 3x plus y is equal to 24, which is what we have, and 3x plus 5y, which is 36. The conclusion that 4y is equal to 12, remember, we removed the kitten. We added the kitten, 4 kittens to the other scale. That's where we get this 4y. We had added 4 kittens, and we knew that we added 12 pounds. We went from 24 to 36. We can get to that same equation by simply subtracting these. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to subtract the first one from the second, which means I have to write it down below again. All right. You might say, well, now we have 3 equations. No, not really. We really have 2 equations. We're just moving this one out of here for now, okay? So let's just act like this doesn't even exist. And now we're going to subtract these 2 equations. And what happens? Well, 3x minus 3x is 0, so we have nothing. We have 5y minus y leaves us with 4y. And 36 minus 12, or 36 minus 24, is going to give us 12, which is what we did in the beginning. Remember, we had 4 kittens, and we knew they weighed 12 pounds. And we were able to just visually see that the second scale had 4 more kittens and 12 more pounds. So you could see that what we did was, by subtracting, we were able to get that same information. And then we know that y is going to be equal to 3. And y, we know, is the weight of each kitten. Now we can substitute the value of y in the first equation. So let's say we put it over here. Let's just do it down below, and we know that we would have 3x plus 3 is equal to 24, right? Because we simply put the y value in up here, and now we have the equation. That's a 3. I know it looks kind of weird, but that's 3x. And now if we simply subtracted each side by 3, we would end up with 3x is equal to 21, which is, again, what we had observed in our illustration, that if we subtracted, remember, that one kitten, and we subtracted 3 from the scale, we would end up with 3 kittens and 21 pounds. Well, that's 3x is equal to 21, and now x we know is equal to 7. So we were able to solve this and know that the kittens each weighed 3 pounds and the cats weighed 7 pounds. Okay, and remember, these are pounds. Going back to what I was originally talking about, when you plug in these values as we did here, and we got this, we have 3 kittens, or the 3 times the weight of a kitten plus 3 pounds is equal to 24. That's basically what we did. We put in the weight of one kitten. If we go ahead and just put in both values, let's say, into the second equation, let's see, 3x plus 5y. Let's go ahead and do that down here. We're going to say 3 times each kitten weighs 7 pounds plus 5, that's cats rather, 5 kittens times 3 pounds, and that should equal to 36. Okay, so what do we have? 3 times 7 pounds is going to give us 21 pounds, plus 5 times 3 pounds is equal to 15 pounds, and that should be equal to 36. And when you add the 2, yes, you get 36 is equal to 36. So we checked our answer as well. But again, note that we're talking about an equation that has to deal with weight. Equations will have different uses and applications, so you'll have different measurements, but in this particular case we have it. Now, top of page 292, this method for solving a pair of simultaneous equations is called the subtraction method. It has its basis it has as its basis the fact that if 2 equations are true, the equations that result from subtracting their left sides, subtracting their right sides, and setting the differences equal is also true. So that's all we really did, was we subtracted the left side and we subtracted the right side, and whatever resulted is true. Therefore, we were able to solve in particular for this variable, and we were able to determine what its value is, and then plug in that value into one of the original equations, and it would help us to solve the other variable. So remember, it's always the goal when solving simultaneous equations to at least in the addition and subtraction method, is to eliminate a variable. Okay. In fact, it is really through any of the processes, and you're going to see in the subsequent lessons, you're trying to get rid of a variable so that you only have one variable. Once you have one variable, you can solve for it, and once you solve for that variable, you can plug in and solve for the other variable. So it's really a two-step process, but it all starts with figuring out how can we eliminate one of these variables. We have an example here, and we see the subtraction is used. 6x minus 4y is equal to 42, and x minus 4y is equal to 17. Now remember, when you're subtracting, you get, and this is where we're kind of rolling back to some of the things we learned earlier about how to subtract negatives. Remember, if you have a negative, we have, in this case, we have a negative 4y, and they're going to change it in terms of addition, but nonetheless, you could still get a little bit confused as to how to subtract negatives, and we have really a negative 4y minus 4y, and so how do we do that? And well, we basically are going back to that original concept that we have something that's negative and we're going to remove the negative. So I have a negative, now I subtract the negative. Okay, bad, I subtract the bad, I'm back to 0. Okay, so always keep that in mind. This is where we have to be very careful that now adding is a lot easier, but remember that the inverse, we're adding the opposite. So if we see that they're able to solve these equations, or this particular equations, and for x we were able to get x is equal to 5, and substituting the value for x, they just went in there and they solved y as being negative 3, and then they went and checked their answer. So the solution is 5 and negative 3. Okay, so it's the end of this lesson.